Hello and welcome. I'm Paige Feldman, a writer and director of romantic comedies that live in that fun intersection of love, sex, and anxiety. And today, I want to share with you the template that I created to do cold outreach to press outlets for my independent film projects. Specifically, I want to share with you the template that I just created a couple months ago for Interrobang, my short-form comedy anthology series about moments after sex when being emotionally naked is way more terrifying than being physically naked. As of tomorrow, if you're watching this live when this episode drops tomorrow, November 17th, 2022, all 6 episodes of Interrobang will be streaming on Cliche TV. Now, Cliche TV is a streaming platform specifically for independent short-form series content, and I am just ecstatic that Interrobang is streaming on this service because not only is it a service that is super accessible, it is free, no subscription required for you to watch, and there's also no ads, so you don't have to sit around watching that same Charmin commercial over and over. But the content on Cliche is very specifically inclusive of all race, gender, sexual orientation. Everything on the platform is about community and the coming together of independent producers to create amazing stories, and also ensuring that everyone feels seen and everyone's voice is heard. And that is so much what Interrobang is about for me. I intentionally cast a majority of people of color in the cast and work with a majority women and POC crew. So I'm really thrilled to be on Cliche. Number one, because it is difficult to get a streaming deal for any short form content, but secondly, because our values just align so much. And because I want everyone to watch Interrobang and feel a little bit more seen and explore some maybe more taboo topics with humor and warmth and acceptance, I decided I wanted to try to get some press. And I am not a household name, not yet anyway, and none of the actors are a household name. And also, I don't have the money to hire a PR person, so I was kind of all on my own trying to figure out how to get press placements. And I used my knowledge of querying when I queried agents for the books that I've written, and also some general knowledge that I picked up when I was a development executive about what kind of emails I was drawn to and I would read. And obviously press and development and acquisitions for film is a little bit different, but also my knowledge of being someone behind a desk when people were just sending me emails asking me for things, I know what that feeling's like. And so I tried to channel some of development executive Paige into this template, this email template when I created it to get press placements, and I did pretty well. I sent out 20 emails to independent press outlets, mostly blogs and podcasts, and I got 4 press placements out of it, which I'm pretty stoked about. It's a 20% success rate when I'm a nobody. I don't like saying that because I'm not nobody, but no one's gonna see my name, or very few people will see my name and be like, oh yeah, I know who she is. And very few people are gonna see my cast members' names or the DP's names and know, oh, I know who they are. Now my composer, Jonah Matranga, who is like indie rock royalty in a way, One Line Drawing, people might know him, but that's the most name that I'm getting in Interrobang. So I was kind of starting from zero, and I got to 20%, and I think a lot of it had to do with this email template and my approach. So I want to share that with you in hopes that you and your independent film projects you'll be able to find a way to get some press, get some notice, and really hype up your releases or your festival premieres or any sort of in-person screenings that you might have. So as far as the things that I did right, first of all, I targeted people who I had some personal connection to. One of the podcasts I got on, Screenwriting from the Trenches, I had been a guest host in the past, and the host Robin Kay and I are very friendly on Twitter, and I think that we are becoming actual friends now. But the way that I targeted this to them was that I said, hey, you know me on Twitter, and I saw that you're doing a series on micro-budget filmmaking in your podcast, and this show is micro-budget filmmaking. I didn't just say, hey, you like me, right? Can I be on your podcast? It was targeted based on something that they were already doing, and they were people who I already had an interaction with. The second thing that I did is very similar, is that I looked for affiliate groups who might be interested in what I have to say or what the show has to say. So I reached out to Jewish publications. One of the two that I reached out to, I have a piece up on a blog, and I also reached out to some St. Louis-based press. None of those panned out, but I did get positive reactions back saying thank you so much for reaching out. I got some interaction. So now I have a relationship with a few people, journalists, maybe for future projects, and I can keep in touch and be friendly with them. So I'm gonna count that as a win as well. And other affiliate groups I tried to look for was publications about romantic comedies and romance in general, but unfortunately most of the ones, or really all of the ones that I came across, were about books. I did reach out to Frolic, which is a newsletter that is released bi-weekly that does deal with romance books and sometimes talks about films. I was hoping that I'd get a response from them, but I didn't. I did consider the genre. It's just there's not as much of a community out there in terms of press and also fans that have come together around romance and romantic comedies as there is on other genres like horror, for instance. Horror fans are amazing, and I wish that I could put Interrobang in the horror category. I mean, love is scary, but it's not that scary. There's no jump scares in this. But this affiliate groups thing brings me to another thing I did right, which is I researched the outlet that I was going to be emailing. I didn't just take this template and send it off boom, 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 boom to 20 at a time. I was doing research on the outlets, like I did with Robin K. with Screenwriting from the Trenches. I saw that they did a micro-budget series, and I listened to all episodes of the micro-budget series to know, okay, yes, Interrobang would fit into this. When I reached out to the St. Louis press outlets, I mentioned that I had played Interrobang in the St. Louis Filmmakers Showcase last year. So I customized this template based on who I was reaching out to, based on what they might want. Because as much as I hope that everyone who's watching Interrobang is gonna love it and wanna talk all about it, I know, like I said, I'm starting from zero, and I need to tell people what value they'll gain, how I'm making their lives easier by giving them the opportunity to cover Interrobang. How my film fits into what their readers or their listeners already want to hear or see. And then finally, unlike this little speech I'm giving, I kept everything short and sweet, because when I was an exec, if I saw an email with paragraphs, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, as much as I want to tell everybody everything about Interrobang all the time, I know that anyone reading this email doesn't know who I am and probably doesn't care. And so I need to give them exactly the information they need, get in, get out, and make them see that I am a professional, that even though they don't know me, that maybe they should want to. So without further ado, I'm gonna put it on screen share and I'm gonna take you through my template. All right, so here it is. It says, I say it's a template because it is a template. I have like X as far as the name goes. I'm gonna read it out loud. Dear X, I'm Paige Feldman, a writer-director of raunchy, feminist, sex-positive romantic comedies. I'm writing because my short-form series Interrobang, an anthology about moments after sex when being emotionally naked is way more terrifying than being physically naked, is premiering on streaming service Sika TV on October 13th. I think your audience would connect with my work because reasons, and I'm writing to see if you'd be interested in speaking with me about the relevant thing / watching the series or an episode and writing a review in advance of the premiere or during the run. Here's a link to the trailer for Interrobang and the press kit. I'm happy to send you a screener for any or all episodes. I appreciate your time and look forward to hearing from you. All the best, Paige. So that's my template. It is conservatively 4 paragraphs long. Although one of the paragraphs is literally thank you. So if you want to copy this, I'll run through the formula for how I've put this together with you. First, we have Dear X, and you'd think that this would be common knowledge. You start a letter with Dear. However, I've seen a lot of people, as an exec, I saw a lot of people start with hey, hi, what's up? And that is a fine salutation if you already know the person who you're writing to. If you're not, err on the side of a little bit more formality. When I got the hey, hi, whatever, I didn't really care. People are gonna be people, they wanna express their personality. My boss, however, was a little bit less permissive and would get very annoyed at anyone who was presuming they knew him. He would get things that said, what's up, name, and he's, a 50-something-year-old English man who is not into that. They'd also spell his name wrong. So, with the salutation, err on the side of formality if you don't know the person, and I wouldn't say, put Mr., Ms., Ms., don't do any of that. Just Make sure you spell their first name correctly. And if you can find their email address, you probably can find their first name and you can double check the spelling. Especially if it's press, they're gonna have a byline. Or if on a podcast, they'll write their names in the the description of the podcast. So there we go. So then we have the introduction. Who are you? In one sentence, I would say connect who you are to your film, like to who you are in terms of the film. I wouldn't necessarily say, I'm the hot dog eating champion. I mean, if you are the hot dog eating champion, that's cool, but if it has nothing to do with your film, then nobody cares. So, who are you in the context of your film? I'm writing because my short form series, Interrobang. So this is the purpose statement. That's what the paragraph is. The title and the log line. That's what the sentence accomplishes. Who am I? What's my project? What's it about? And why is this a timely thing? So, premiering on streaming service Sika TV on October 13th. In this first paragraph, you have, remember the who, what, where, when, why, the 5 questions. You got the who, you got the what, you got the where, you got the when. The why is actually down in the second paragraph. So you got who, what, where, when in the first paragraph. Second paragraph. I think your audience would connect with my work because reasons. And so reasons, I would substitute with 1 or 2 reasons. Something very specific and to the point that basically shows I know what this publication, I know what this podcast is about. And it doesn't necessarily have to say, I think your audience would connect with my work, but it could be, I wanted to reach out because I know you like to cover independent romance books and thought you might be interested in covering an independent romance series. And that's what I wrote to Frolic, the romance book newsletter I just talked about. Then, second part of the sentence, and I'm writing to see if you'd be interested in speaking with me about the relevant thing. Relevant thing could be one of 2 things. It could just be if you'd be interested in speaking with me about Interrobang, about my film. Or in the case of Screenwriting from the Trenches, the relevant thing was the fact that they had a micro-budget filmmaker series. So I wrote, I'm writing to see if you'd be interested in speaking with me about Interrobang in the context of your micro-budget filmmaker series. Then there's a slash. Choose one or the other. You get a relevant thing, or do you want to write a review? And you'll know based on your research whether an outlet's going to want to speak to you specifically about the making of the project or any behind the scenes info, or if they're just going to want to watch it and that's not a just, watch it and write a review, or give a spoken review on a podcast. But this paragraph is the why. So you got the who, what, when, where up here, the why down here. Then this paragraph is, here's more information if you want it. I have a trailer for Interrobang and I have a press kit. Those are both, this goes to a Vimeo link for the trailer, though you can find it on YouTube now, and I'll just pop it up here for y'all. And the press kit for Interrobang, which I created during the festival run, and I will probably do a video in the future about making a press kit for your independent film, because it is tricky to figure out what you're supposed to do with it, and I would love to be a resource for people so you don't have to go through all of the Googling and piecemeal looking at old press kits trying to figure out what you're supposed to put in there that I had to do. And then I'm happy to send you a screener for any or all episodes. Even if the outlet is one that's going to want to talk to you specifically, you should make everything available to them to watch, make it easy for them. That's what this paragraph is about. If you're intrigued, you can watch more, you can read more, you don't have to contact me, you can just figure it out on your own. And then finally you have the appreciate your time, look forward to hearing from you, which is just it's like the polite salutation, but also it's a call to action. I look forward to hearing from you. I used to say hope to hear from you soon, which sort of is, it kind of feels like an apology for writing them to me in a way. But look forward to hearing from you implies that, number one, you have every right to email them, which you do. You're writing an email to a press outlet as a filmmaker, you have every right to email them asking them to cover your film because you're giving them a story that they might want. Second of all, it implies that they're going to write you back, because I know as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a creative, the worst thing is when people don't write you back. It's awful. it's just like your email just goes into the void and think, okay, whatever. And this, look forward to hearing from you. That is sort of, that creates an assumption that, yeah, they will write you back. And I think it does a little bit of a mind shift where it's, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to write them back either way. There's an implied contract there. So that, and then all the best page. I like all the best as a sign off. You do you. Whatever sign off you feel comfortable with, do it. I know that email sign offs are a whole thing, and I don't want to get into it in this video. We only have so much time. Well, I guess we have as much time as you want. I just don't want to do it. So that's the email template that I used to get 4 press placements for Interrobang, and a few more responses even when the answer was no. I hope you find this helpful, and please feel free to steal my method and use it for yourself. And if you do, I'd love to hear how it goes. Please drop it in the comments below. Give me a like if you're gonna try to use this, and share if you think anyone's gonna find this helpful, because I want to, a rising tide lifts all boats in the indie film community. That's what I'm all about. And for those of you wondering how I'm doing with my revision on my contained romantic comedy feature, it's slow goings. I just moved and unpacking takes forever, and I'm pushing through, and I really hope to have an update for you soon on how that's going. But as always, I will be back here next week with more about indie filmmaking and storytelling, and hopefully more about the making of my first feature as a writer-director. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already, because I have a lot of fun things coming up the pipeline, and I will see you back here next week for more of Cake Fight Presents. Bye. Thanks for watching.